After the Red Sea, the dust of Egypt faded behind Israel, but the wilderness still lay ahead, wide, silent, and unknown. Day after day, the people moved beneath the open sky, guided by the presence of God, until they reached a place that felt different from every other stretch of desert. A mountain rose before them, jagged and solemn, like a throne carved from stone. This was Sinai. Here, the story of deliverance would deepen into the story of covenant. Israel had been rescued from slavery, but now they would learn what it meant to live as a people set apart. Moses led the tribes to camp at the base of the mountain. Tents spread across the plain in every direction, a sea of fabric and firelight as evening fell. Families gathered close, watching the peak that disappeared into drifting cloud. The air seemed charged with expectation. Moses went up toward the mountain, and the Lord called to him, declaring that Israel had been carried as if on eagle's wings and brought to himself. The message was clear. Deliverance was not the end. It was the beginning. God invited the people into a covenant, promising that if they listened and obeyed, they would be his treasured possession, a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. Moses returned to the camp and spoke these words to the elders and then to the people. A single answer rose from thousands of voices. They would do what the Lord commanded.
Hearken, O Israel! The Lord our God has called us to be a holy nation. These are the words of the covenant he makes with you.
We will obey. We will do everything the Lord has said.
Yet covenant was not casual. Holiness was not ordinary. The people were told to prepare, to consecrate themselves, to treat the mountain as sacred. They washed their garments and quieted their hearts. Boundaries were set around Sinai, marking a line the people must not cross. The warning was not cruelty. It was mercy. God's presence was not something to treat lightly, not a spectacle for curious eyes, but a reality that demanded reverence.
Hearken, ye people of Israel! Tarry here and cross not this boundary, lest the Lord break forth upon you with fire and thunder.
As the days passed, the camp grew still, as if every conversation carried a hush. Then came the third day. Morning arrived, but the light felt muted. Above the mountaintop, thick cloud gathered and swirled like a living veil. Suddenly, thunder rolled across the desert. Lightning flashed within the cloud, illuminating the jagged rock face in stark bursts of white. A sound like a trumpet echoed, growing louder, not from human lips, but as if the air itself were sounding an alarm. The people trembled. Mothers held children close. Men stood with rigid shoulders.
The Lord is speaking to us. We cannot look. We will perish. What is happening to the mountain?
It is the Lord. Have mercy on us.
We are not worthy.
Even the strongest felt small beneath the weight of the moment. Smoke rose from Sinai as if from a furnace, and the mountains seemed to shudder beneath the force of God's presence. Moses led the people forward until they stood at the boundary, staring upward. They could not see God, yet everything around them testified that he was near. Moses stepped closer, and the Lord spoke. The voice did not merely fill the air, it seemed to press into the heart. And then the foundation of covenant life was given, not as random rules, but as words that would shape a nation's soul. The first commandment set the center of everything.
I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
The Lord alone would be their God, not one among many, not a name added to a shelf of idols. The second guarded worship itself. No carved images, no substitutes, no attempts to track the divine in human-made form. The third called for reverence. God's name was not to be treated as casual speech or empty sound, but honored as holy. The fourth created rhythm in human life, a Sabbath of rest, a day set apart, not as weakness, but as trust. Trust that life is sustained by God, not by endless striving. The fifth commanded honor within the home, respect for father and mother, so that the family would become a place of stability rather than fracture.
The Lord bless you and keep you, my son. May your days be long in the land the Lord gives us.
The sixth upheld the value of life, no shedding of innocent blood, no treating people as disposable. The seventh protected faithfulness. Covenant love was to be guarded, not broken for impulse or betrayal. The eighth demanded integrity with what belongs to others. No stealing, no grasping, no taking by force or deception. The ninth established truth as a pillar of community. No false witness, no lies that destroy reputations and warp justice. The 10th reached into the hidden chambers of the heart. No coveting, no obsession with another's house, another's life, another's blessings, because a nation cannot stand if its people are consumed by envy. These words were more than commandments. They were a mirror showing what human life becomes when it lives close to God. The people listened, and fear rose in them. Not the fear of punishment alone, but the trembling awareness that they stood near something far greater than themselves. They begged Moses to speak with God on their behalf, because the voice felt too overwhelming to bear. Moses turned and told them not to fear and panic, but to understand. God had come to test them, to teach them reverence, so sin would not rule over them. Then Moses went forward into the thick darkness where God was. He ascended Sinai, climbing higher until the sounds of the camp faded into distance. Cloud wrapped around him. Lightning flashed above like a crown of fire. Yet Moses continued, drawn by the calling placed upon his life. In the presence of God, covenant took shape not only as spoken words, but as a lasting witness. The commandments would be engraved on stone tablets, permanent and weighty, a sign that this law was not a passing mood, but a foundation. When Moses descended, he carried the tablets carefully, like a treasure too holy to treat casually. The people watched him return with awe. The mountain still smoked behind him, and the air still felt charged, as if the earth remembered what had happened. Israel had met God, not in vague ideas, but in undeniable power. The 10 Commandments stood as a boundary and a blessing, a path away from slavery in every form. Slavery to violence, to lies, to greed, to idols, to restless striving. Egypt had been behind them, but Egypt's habits could still live inside them if they did not become a different kind of people. Sinai was where deliverance became direction. It was where freedom gained meaning. For the Lord had not rescued Israel merely to wander. He rescued them to belong. And the commandments given amid thunder and cloud were not simply restrictions, but the shape of a life lived in covenant worship, ordered rightly, community protected, truth honored, rest restored, hearts trained away from envy and toward trust. The mountain eventually grew quiet again. The lightning faded. The trumpet-like sound ceased. But Sinai's message did not vanish with the storm. It remained etched in stone and memory. The God who saves is also the God who speaks, and the God who speaks calls his people into holiness, not to diminish life, but to make it whole.